Most of the time, Pokemon's movesets make sense. Heavy Pokemon with high defense stats can usually learn Body Press, Pokemon with Rocket can learn recoil moves, and so on and so on. But some moves don't work very well in specific Pokemon, so that's what today's video is about. What's up fellas, I'm Matt, and today Elias and I are gonna look at Pokemon and moves with terrible synergy. Alright, let's get started.
What's up, I'm Elias, and Electrode is one of the fastest Pokemon in the game with a base speed stat of 140 when it was added in Gen 1. It got even faster in Gen 7 as well, now boasting 150 speed, because apparently buffing the stats that actually need help isn't important. Anyway, Electrode can naturally learn the move Electro Ball, which makes perfect sense. The move gets stronger if the user is faster than the target. Neat.
But Electrode can also learn Electro Ball's evil twin, a Gyro Ball. I have an evil twin, his name is Mike. This move gets stronger if you're slower than the target. If both Pokemon are the same speed, Gyro Ball will be just 26 base power, and it gets even weaker if the user is faster. Electrode rolls circles around most opponents, so Gyro Ball's damage is usually going to be absolutely pathetic. It's also just not the hardest hitting Pokemon in the universe. A 20-something power move coming off a base attack stat of 50 is less than ideal, to put it nicely. To put it rudely, absolutely horrendous.
Anyways, that's one cookie down.
Place your bets in the comments. How many cookies will Elias eat by the end of this video? Over under 7.5.
Okay, let's go. I'm gonna try and hit the over. Electrode is the fastest Pokemon that can learn Gyro Ball, which makes it the move's worst user. Don't get us wrong, Gyro Ball does make sense from a thematic perspective. The game describes it as a high-speed spin, which is right up Electrode's alley, but it's not a very good move for Electrode to use, on account of how fast it is. Gyro Ball works best on slower Pokemon like Bronzong and Aegislash.
We mentioned Electro Ball a second ago, so let's talk about that move's worst users as well. Out of all the fully evolved Pokemon, one of the slowest Electro Ball users is Vikavolt, which is kind of strange, yeah? I'm nowhere near the first one to mention this, but Vikavolt's base speed stat of 43 makes no sense. The Pokedex talks about how it flusters opponents with acrobatic flying maneuvers. Its Pokemon Scarlet Dex entry uses the phrase exceptional mobility.
Despite all of that, Vikavolt is slower than Pokemon like Enkelder, Muck, and its own pre-evolution Grubbin. Heck, Slacking absolutely runs circles around the thing, but that's a ramble for another time. Such a slow speed stat makes Electro Ball an absolutely atrocious move. If Vikavolt is slower than the target, which will usually be the case, Electro Ball will be the minimum 40 base power. Just use Thunderbolt, man. The absolute slowest Electro Ball user is Pincurchin with a base speed stat of just 15.
Actually, you know what? Let's keep talking about Vikavolt, because we found another example of bad synergy in its move pool. Vikavolt and Electros both have the ability Levitate, which makes them immune to ground type moves. They can also learn the move Magnet Rise, which also makes them immune to ground moves, but just for 5 turns. The move is completely redundant, because Levitate is the only possible ability for these Pokemon. Sure, it could be useful if they lost their abilities, but Magnet Rise isn't worth running just to deal with that edge case. You'd be better off just using a more standard moveset. Sometimes the move synergizes well with one Pokemon, but not with its evolutions. Nincada can learn the move Sandstorm, which is all well and good. It's a bug ground type, which makes it immune to the sand itself. But when Nincada evolves, you get 2 Pokemon that aren't immune to sand. First is the bug flying type Ninjask, but for today let's focus on the bug ghost type Shedinja.
Honestly, we could probably make a whole video about moves that don't synergize with Shedinja. Since it only has 1 HP no matter what, a whole lot of moves are either unusable or very close to it. But for today, let's focus on just a couple of examples. Starting with Sandstorm. At the end of each turn, the sand will deal chip damage to any Pokemon that isn't ground, rock, or steel type, but any chip damage whatsoever will kill Shedinja instantly. So Sandstorm is effectively a Faint Now button. Wonder Guard only protects Shedinja from attacking moves that aren't super effective.
Personally, I have a Faint Now button on my desk in case anything remotely romantic happens. By breeding with a Shelmet or Excelgor, Nincada can learn Final Gambit as an egg move. It deals damage equal to the user's current HP. In exchange, though, the user faints, so it isn't the most common move in the universe. Ninjask's maximum possible HP is 326, meaning it can deal up to 326 damage with Final Gambit. But Shedinja can never have more than 1 HP, meaning Final Gambit will only ever deal 1 damage. Not the greatest way to lose your Shedinja if you ask me.
Heavy Slam is an unusual move because it deals damage based on weight. The heavier you are compared to the target, the more damage Heavy Slam deals, maxing out at 120 base power if the user is 5 times heavier. As you might expect, this move is mostly learned by heavy Pokemon. Aggron, Dondozo, Tyranitar, and so on and so on. That's great and cool and all, but one of the lightest Pokemon can learn this move too. I'm just gonna say, it doesn't help that these cookies literally take 3 bites to finish, and are like mostly sugar.
Elias is gonna be 1% sugar by the end of this video, guys.
I'm pretty sure you would die.
I don't want to think about that anymore. Flapple weighs in at just 2.2 pounds, or 1 kilogram. It's lighter than all but 36 Pokemon in the entire series. If Heavy Slam's user is lighter than the target, the move will be the minimum 40 power. So against the vast majority of Pokemon, Flapple's Heavy Slam Slam is equivalent to Scratch. But hey, there's a few Pokemon that take the maximum damage, like, Gastly and Flabébé. Whoop-dee-doo.
While we're on the topic of weight-based moves, Heat Crash is a fire-type version of Heavy Slam. This move works exactly the same way, ranging from 40 to 120 power depending on both Pokemon's weights. There are a couple of super light Pokemon that can learn this move, but the lightest of them all is the 2.2 pound Sizzlipede, which is the same weight as Flapple. But unlike Flapple with Heavy Slam, Sizzlipede gets stabbed from this move. The lightest non-fire type that can learn Heat Crash is Mew, which weighs 8.8 pounds. But Mew can learn 100 trillion million gazillion infinity moves, so who cares if a few of them aren't that good?
Mega Evolution is one of, if not the most popular generational gimmick in the Pokemon series. We've said a couple times on the channel that we didn't expect them to come back anytime soon. Well, let's just say we're not complaining about being wrong. Can't wait to see what Legends ZA has in store. Anyway, the Mega Stones make one move pretty underwhelming for some Pokemon.
Wait, Mega Evolution is coming back?
Yeah, Legends ZA is gonna be in Lumio City.
Oh, nice. Blaziken, Charizard, Lopunny, Caesar, Beedrill, and Altaria all have at least one Mega Evolution, and they can also learn Acrobatics. Oh, I finished Cookie 5, by the way.
Oh my god.
This is a 55 base power move, but it doubles to 110 if the user isn't holding an item. But the Mega Stone taking up your item slot causes some issues. If a Pokemon is holding their corresponding Mega Stone, you can't get rid of it. Moves like Trick and Switcheroo fail, Knockoff won't remove it, and you can't fling it at your opponent either. So if you're using a Mega Evolution, double power Acrobatics is off the table for them. 55 power is really weak, so it's not a great option for Megas.
I just wanted to take the time to, address the allegations. No, Elias and I are not a couple.
There are allegations of this?
One comment. Body Press is a unique fighting type move. It calculates damage with the user's defense stat instead of their attack. So despite being a physical move, special attackers can also use it effectively, as long as their defense stat is high. But plenty of Pokemon with low defenses can learn this move. Out of all the fully evolved Pokemon with Body Press, Wailord has the lowest defense, with a base stat of just 45.
Overall though, Jigglypuff holds the record for Body Press users with a base defense stat of just 20. Once again, Body Press does make thematic sense on these Pokemon, but their stats clash with the move's exact mechanics. Wailord and Jigglypuff are bulky, but most of that bulk comes from their HP stats instead of defense. The same goes for several other Body Press users, like Guzzlord and Hariyama. Guzzlord's an Ultra Beast, Matt.
We've been over this, Elias. Ultra Beasts are Pokemon, get over it.
Anyways, Cookie 6 down.
You're the worst. Speaking of bulky Pokemon, Chansey and Blissey are the quintessential special walls in the series. They have the two highest HP stats in the entire game, and they have high special defense stats on top of that. That makes them virtually unkillable if you're using a special attacker against them. But they're a million times worse on the physical side. Chansey's base attack and defense stats are 5, tied for the worst in the game with his pre-evolution Happiny. Blissey isn't much better, clocking with just 10 attack and defense.
Despite that, Chansey and Blissey can learn a surprising amount of physical moves. Chansey can learn all the elemental punches, Zen Headbutt, Iron Tail, Wild Charge, Last Resort, and a bunch of ground, rock, and fighting moves. When it evolves into Blissey, it can also learn Avalanche.
All of these moves are pretty much unusable on Chansey and Blissey because of how little damage they deal. The one exception is Seismic Toss, because this move uses her level to deal damage instead of your attack stat. But every other physical move is a complete non-starter for Chansey and Blissey.
Even at level 100, Chansey's attack stat can't get higher than 119. You know who can hit harder than a max attack Chansey? A level 45 Mudkip. You know, one time we used footage of Blissey using Wild Charge in a video, and some of the comments were surprised that such a thing was possible. And you know what? I don't blame them one bit. Wild Charge on these pink blobs makes no sense whatsoever, but it's absolutely hilarious. That seems to be Game Freak's MO when they design normal types. Give them a zillion random moves for no reason other than it'd be fun. But hey, I'm not complaining.
For more videos like this, subscribe to MEPlaysGames, and consider becoming a channel member for as little as 99 cents a month. You'll get early access to these videos, and you can also watch exclusive Let's Plays. Right now, Elias and I are playing through Pokemon X. Weather is one of my personal favorite mechanics in the game, but there are way too many Pokemon that can learn Rain Dance and Sunny Day. Over 700 Pokemon can learn each move, which makes no sense to me. We could sit here all day listing weird Pokemon that can learn Rain Dance, but for today, let's focus on the fire types that can learn the move.
Sorry, I'm chewing. Rain Dance is one of the worst moves you can possibly teach a fire-type Pokemon. Not only does the rain power up water moves, which they're usually weak to, but it also weakens fire moves by 50%. So by using Rain Dance with something like Heatmore, you're actively sabotaging your own stab moves, and inviting the water types to come out and drown you.
Hey Elias, I'm gonna come out to Chicago and drown you.
We have a pretty big lake for you to do it in.
There are a ton of other fire types that can learn Rain Dance, including Talonflame, Camerupt, Volcarona, and Houndoom. Several fire type legendaries can also learn Rain Dance, like Ho-Oh and Reshiram. That makes a little more sense though, because you'd expect a Pokemon with godlike powers to be able to control the weather. There is a trio of legendaries whose whole thing is weather, but oh well.
There are also some water types that can learn Sunny Day, like Corsola, the Slow Twins, Gyarados, and Bibarel. This isn't quite as deadly as fire types using Rain Dance though, because water type Pokemon resist fire moves. That means that if you set up the sun, you're not powering up a type that you're already weak to. Sunny Day would still be an atrocious move choice, but hey, you could do worse, I guess.
If you're using a counterattack like Counter or Mirror Coat, you want to have a high HP stat. That way you can survive a hit, then fire back at your opponent with double the damage. That's what makes Shoutout Wobbuffet so dangerous. Since you can't switch out, you'll have to attack it at some point. By leveraging its high HP stat, Wobbuffet can knock you out with Counter and Mirror Coat and still have health to spare.
So I finished cookie 7. And so I just need to eat one more cookie.
And then I owe you $400 million, huh?
But some counter users have really low HP stats, so they're more likely to get knocked out before they can hit back. Delibird holds the record for fully evolved Pokemon with a base HP stat of just 45. If you try to use counter, it'll just take 3.2 times 10 to the 74th power damage and evaporate. Pichu holds the overall record with just 20 HP. If Delibird evaporates when it tries to use counter, I don't want to know what happens to Pichu. It might just get permanently deleted from the game's code. Who am I to say?
As far as Mirror Coat users go, Feebas is the worst one with just 20 HP. Out of the fully evolved Pokemon, Deoxys Defense has the lowest HP funnily enough. It's got 50 HP and 160 defense and special defense. Since it won't take a lot of damage from attacks, it won't deal a lot of damage with Mirror Coat. Ideally, your counterattack users are the other way around. High HP and defenses that are low, but not too low.
Let's take a look at some ability-specific cases. No Guard is an awesome ability that makes all your moves bypass accuracy checks, so they'll never miss. On the flip side though, your opponent will never miss you either. But the benefits outweigh the drawbacks, so it's the ability of choice for Pokemon like Machamp and Midnight Lycanroc.
But all of the No Guard Pokemon can also learn the move Double Team, which does nothing for them. Double Team raises your evasion by 1 stage, but since No Guard skips evasion checks, you're gonna get hit by any move that targets you anyway. Midnight Lycanroc can also learn Sand Attack, which also does nothing if it has No Guard. Even if you lower your opponent's accuracy, their moves still won't miss you. So neither of these moves are worth running on No Guard users.
Of course, most No Guard Pokemon have other ability options. Machamp can also use Guts or Steadfast, Carablast can have Shed, Skin, or Swarm, and so on and so on. So if you pick another ability, these moves work just fine. The only Pokemon that don't have a choice are Honedge, Doublade, and Mega Pidgeot. No Guard is their only possible ability, so Double Team is worthless for them. I don't know why I can't read today, but it probably has to do with the fact that I ate 7 cookies.
Maybe eat an 8th cookie, see if that balances things out.
Okay.
Several Pokemon have the ability Contrary, which inverts all of your stat changes. So if your opponent switches an Intimidate user in, for example, your attack will go up by 1 stage. That also means Contrary users love moves that lower their own stats. Serperior and Lurantis can learn Leaf Storm, which raises their special attack by 2 stages if they have Contrary. But most Contrary Pokemon can learn moves that boost their own stats, so they're pretty much unusable.
I'm about halfway through Cookie 8.
There it is, folks. I owe Elias $400 million.
As an example, Malamar can learn Nasty Plot and Calm Mind. Under normal circumstances, these are great moves because they give you 2 stat boosts apiece. But if Malamar has Contrary, these moves will lower your stats as well. It can also learn Acupressure as an egg move, which will harshly lower a random stat if it has Contrary. That's, not a great way to win battles if you ask me. If you want to boost your stats with Malamar, you have to use a more unconventional option like Superpower.
My man's living the good life in the worst city in the world.
I don't know about the worst city in the world, but the worst city in the United States right now has gotta be.
Hey guys, new legendary battle strategy. I just use Explosion 6 times. You can still use Poison Sting and whatnot.
Oh, I can? Oh, true, I can.
What did you think? Did you think Weedle forgot
it's
Poison
not
Sting?
Okay.
When it evolves?
Kind of, yeah.
That doesn't happen!
Oh, crazy.
Elias! Is this thing on? Right, so I was recording B-roll for this video, and I stumbled across a shiny Ekans. I don't know if I can catch this. I don't know if I've got Pokeballs on the save file. For the love of God, catch this thing. You know, it occurred to me that since I was fighting wild Pokemon, I might run into one, but I didn't think it'd be so soon. I have barely started, recording for this video. Wow, okay, shiny Ekans. You'll love to see it, folks. Welp, that's all we got for today. Leave a comment with any other bad synergies you know of, and we might include them in a part 2. Shoutouts to our first 5 channel members: Gavin Eric, Akruda, StarKid Phil, 2D Sonic, and Elias himself. Yeah, he's a member on his own channel. Long story short, I wanted him to be able to review our videos before I published them, and he decided the easiest way to do that was to become a member. So now he's paying $1 each month for a membership, and I'm Venmoing the dollar right back to him. Anyway, we'll see you all next time. Good night, fellas, sleep well.